And we got 4 great games for NFL Week 11. Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, Broncos, Seahawks, and the Rams. But we're going to kick it off with the Buccaneers at Buffalo to face the Bills. This matchup is so good, we half wonder if both teams were kind of doing a little looking ahead as the Buccaneers lost in the game against the Patriots, and the Bills were surprisingly defeated at Miami by the Dolphins 30-13. But this is a great offense, should be a great offensive matchup as Baker and that passing offense come into Buffalo. We think Baker's been able to put up great numbers. Early on in the season was putting up MVP caliber numbers. Not sure if that's the same now. We'll have to go back and check his stats. And, of course, Josh Allen, game after game is going to be good. Didn't play well against Miami. We'll see if that continues. We think that was more of an anomaly. We think coming back home, we think we're going to see vintage MVP caliber Josh Allen. Of course, against that Bucs defense, it could be difficult. Todd Bowles is great at scheming up against good passing offenses, but we do think home field advantage will be key. We like the Bills here over the Bucs in what should be a great game, 28-24. Next up, we have the Jets at the Patriots, and we were one of the few analyst groups that picked the Patriots to win at Tampa Bay. We knew that was a tough one. We love the Buccaneers, but we think the Patriots have been a little bit slept on. People haven't really identified how good they are and how great Drake May has been playing. We're not going to say it's an MVP caliber level, but it's definitely up there. And to go on the road at Tampa Bay, they've already beaten Buffalo. They currently lead the Bills by 2 games plus the tiebreaker, so it's looking really good for them to win the AFC East. Not too many people expected that. On the flip side, you got the Jets. Yeah, they had a victory over the Browns. Not really all that impressive. Did a lot of that with special teams. We don't think that'll carry over here going to Foxborough. We love the Patriots taking this one and continue on their quest for the AFC East title. We like them here 28-14 over the Jets. Texans at the Titans. Titans coming off a bye week. Texans on a very improbable victory over the Jaguars. Yes, we are biased a little bit as Texans fans. Stunned by this one. We admit we gave up on as they were down 29-10 to start the fourth quarter. Backup quarterback filling in for C.J. Stroud. Davis Mills was a former starter, so it's not like he was just a low draft pick scrub. He was quite good for several years. Led the game-winning drive with his touchdown right here. Ran for it. But for this week, we're curious to see if C.J. Stroud can be back. Of course, this team has playoff chances now. They're 4-5. Probably an outside shot at this point. But they obviously, to make the playoffs or make any kind of serious run, they need Stroud to be back in there playing. But they're getting some receivers back. They're a little bit healthy. That defense continues to be top tier. Gave up a few more points in the game against the Jags. But we like them here over the Titans, 24-17, and as they go for their second win in a row. Bengals at the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Rematch of an early divisional matchup in which Joe Flacco led the Bengals to victory. Wonder if that's going to continue. We really wonder what the status of Joe Burrow would be. We really want to see him back in the Bengals lineup and leading that team to victory. Just think he adds a lot to the game. We're not sure when he'll return. Bengals fans, if you can let us know what the latest update is on Joe Burrow's return. But in the meantime, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in one of the, I have to call it a dud game of the week in their game against the Chargers. Where was that offense? It's been somewhat inconsistent all year. It's one of our favorite words we know. But for this game, we think the Steelers will bounce back a little bit against that very porous, weak, and playable Bengals defense. We like them here 27-21 over the Bengals. 49ers at the Cardinals, tough NFC West divisional matchup. Both of these teams gave up over 40 points to their division rival in their Week 10 game. The 49ers getting throttled by the Rams and the Cardinals really being trounced by the Seahawks. Those two teams are great this season. For the 49ers for this game, we wonder if it's going to be Mac Jones or is it in fact going to be Brock Purdy. We've seen early reports that Purdy might be available to return, but you know how that goes with the injury reports. They just aren't always that straightforward and honest. And we wonder in Arizona, is this perhaps the end of the Kyler Murray era for the Cardinals with the way Jacoby's been playing. Been very impressed there. Obviously overmatched by the Seahawks, but that's really not that shocking. That team is just that good. But for this game, despite it being in Arizona, we like the 49ers bouncing back. We're assuming Purdy will play. We think they're going to have that many more offensive weapons than do the Cardinals. We like them here 21-17. Ravens at the Browns, or as we like to call it, the old Browns facing the new Browns. Should be an interesting matchup. The Browns always give the Ravens trouble, especially at home. Look at the Ravens. We put this out a couple weeks ago after the Lamar injury and all of his defensive injuries. Are the Ravens cooked? We think they've flipped it around. Don't look now. They're only one game behind the Steelers for the AFC North, and we saw what they could do. We think the key game was that victory over the Bears when Derrick Henry led the way as they won that game, and then of course Lamar came back, and they've been playing great ever since, beating the Dolphins, beating the Vikings. Winning in Minnesota is not so easy. Great home field advantage there, so that is some feat. But against the Browns, against Myles Garrett, can he slow down Lamar? We think that speed's going to be too much, like it is for most teams. We like the Ravens here 24-17 over the Browns, even in Cleveland. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel, and if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. Thank you. And now let's recap how we did for Week 10. So going into the Monday night game, we are 10-3 so far. Upsets, Miami upset. We're expecting New Orleans to win, and the Chargers-Steelers game got us as well. And then going back to Week 9, the week of the upset, we went 8-4 Week 9, following up a 9-3 week for Week 8. Chiefs at the Broncos, great AFC West divisional matchup. Don't look now, but the Broncos are 8-2, but we want to take a look at record versus relative strength. Look at the record here. The Broncos 8-2, net points plus 59. Chiefs way down there at 5-4, net points 76. Are the Broncos really 2.5 games better than the Chiefs? We don't think so. Broncos have won a lot of close games, including over our Texans, and a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, which is impressive. We just wonder if that's sustainable, especially against a team like the Mahomes-led Chiefs, which always seem to find a way to win close games. We think on the road even, not as much of a disadvantage against a division rival because you know that stadium, you're familiar with the crowd. We like the Chiefs here, 24-21 to get on track towards the playoffs. Chargers at the Jags. Jags off that unbelievable defeat in Houston, 29-10 lead going into the fourth quarter. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars giving that up. Really great performance by the Texans, but you wonder if that's going to be deflating to them. We've always thought Trevor's a little bit in the overrated category. People in Duval hate us for saying that. It's just our unbiased opinion. We look at the Chargers too, losing Joe Alt. We thought that'd really be a detriment in their game against Pittsburgh with that pass rush. They overcame it. Really great coaching by Harbaugh on that offensive staff. But we think Herbert and Trevor Lawrence is not even close to who the better quarterback is. We think the Chargers are continue to push towards the playoffs. They know they really have to keep pace in that tough AFC West. We like them here 24-17. Packers at the Giants. Of course, we were recording this before the Packers played the Eagles on Monday night. Looking at this matchup, we're curious if Jackson Dart's going to be able to play. Had a concussion against the Bears, had to leave that game. Usually concussion protocol, they typically miss the next game, but we'll follow that closely. Packers, again, continue to be inconsistent. I think Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback, but the performance hasn't been there week in, week out. We still think they've got enough talent. They should win this fairly easily, 27-21 at New York over the Giants, especially if Dart does not play. Panthers at the Falcons. Curious to see if either of these teams can make a push for the NFC South with the Bucs struggling recently. Got a tough game at Buffalo. There might be an opportunity for one of these teams. Can Bryce Young do it? Has led a couple great games, great wins, but then losing that game against the Saints, really at home, only scoring 7 points. We think the best player in this game is Bijan Robinson. We think he could take over a game. We think being at home on that very fast artificial surface in Atlanta. We like the ATL here, the Falcons to win it 21-17. Should be a close, interesting game between division opponents. Seahawks at the Rams. We caught a lot of grief for picking the Seahawks to win the NFC West before the season, but it's looking pretty good right now. This team is really balanced. JSN's proven to be a true number one receiver. Darnold, again, second good season in a row. Wondered if that Viking season was a fluke. It's not a fluke. He's been really impressive this year. But then again, the Rams with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Our question here is Devontae Adams hurt? Looked like he left the game with an injury. They said he could come back if they needed him. We think this game is going to be so close. We think the home team gets the slight edge, 24-21, Rams over the Seahawks. Should be a great game. Bears at the Vikings rematch of the Week 1 matchup. Vikings coming away with a victory in that one. Great matchup. We look at this one, we think Caleb Williams has shown a lot of improvement in Season 2 of his young career. Wondering how that Ben Johnson-Caleb marriage is going to work. Looks pretty good so far. Some great comeback victories in the past 2 weeks. Wonder if that's going to continue here. We think going at Minnesota, that's so tough, especially going against a division opponent. Well coached. We think Brian Flores might be one of the top 5 defensive coordinators in the league, and that home crowd is crazy. I think if McCarthy plays a decent game, we like the Vikings here, 27-24. They could go either way. We think we're going to lean again towards the home team here, Vikings by 3. Off with another European game as the Commanders and the Dolphins face off in España, Madrid, Spain, hosting the Commanders and the Dolphins. Great city if you guys have never been over there. One of the better cities in Spain. Just a lot to do, great food, all that. We know this isn't a travel video, so we'll get back to the game. We wonder here if Jaden Daniels is going to be able to return. We think he'll be out for a couple of games. We'll follow that closely. We look at what Tua has done. Horrible game against the Ravens, bouncing back, great victory over Buffalo, but that's been the inconsistent pattern all year. Is that going to flip? We think it might, but we think with that Commanders defense, very vulnerable. We think even if Tua plays an average game, they should have enough to beat the Commanders. 27-21 Fins. Lions at the Eagles in the game we wanted for last year's NFC Championship game. Didn't happen due to that Commanders upset at Detroit. This could be a great game with the Lions offense putting up all sorts of great stats. Jared Goff again having a good season with that running game bouncing it out. Those great receivers like St. Brown. And we think that on the road it could be a bit of a challenge, especially if there's any kind of elements, any kind of weather. Check the forecast. Looks good so far, but we're 7 days out. Jalen Hurts, of course, doesn't get all the credit that he probably deserves. We think he's still a top 10 quarterback. We don't think he's considered as such by many, but we love what he can do with A.J. Brown, those receivers. We think with the Lions' injuries, we'd love to pick Detroit here, but their injuries, they're still not healthy on the defensive side. That's not a good spot to play on the road at Philly. We like the Eagles here by 4. Cowboys at the Raiders in what has become a disappointing season for both teams, both of which had high hopes going into the season. Ashton Genty, a lot of people thought he might be NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Hasn't put up the numbers quite yet, really due to bad offensive line play. And again, we also thought the Geno Smith-Pete Carroll reunion would be more fruitful. Of course, it's very difficult in that tough AFC West division. We see 3 of those teams are really playing great football right now. For the Cowboys, Dak Prescott's put up great statistics, has 2 good receivers with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And we like the defensive ad, getting Quinnen Williams go against what to be able to exploit a poor offensive line for the Raiders. We think the Cowboys put up some numbers here and win it 31-24 in Vegas over the Raiders.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.